getting up again. And these organizations where there was psychological safety, they performed better. And she's shown this again. This was 1999. A lot of research done by her and people around the world, showing how groups, organizations where there is psychological safety, where the employees are not afraid of whistleblowing or are not afraid of falling down, of making mistakes, these organizations are significantly more successful. These are learning organizations where the employees constantly learn and grow, where you learn from your mistakes, and then the next time you're able to do better. Very significant, very important research, whether it's for leaders, whether it's for parents. Many of you will be future parents. Is there psychological safety for your kids where they feel comfortable talking to you about things that they did not do well, about failures? Because if they do feel comfortable, they are much less likely to enter into this perfectionistic fear of failure, and they're much more likely to be happier as well as successful. There's a story about Thomas Watson, founder of IBM, one organization that invented and reinvented itself numerous times, continues on a daily basis, and that's why it survives. So there was an employee at the beginning when IBM was founded. They were making typewriters. An employee made a strategic error, and the error was that he actually lost IBM $1 million. And $1 million at that time for IBM was a lot of money. So the next day, after he had made that mistake, he comes to see Thomas Watson, the founder, and gives him a letter. Thomas Watson opens the letter and reads it and looks at the employee and says, "What is this?" He says, "Sir, it's my letter of resignation." "Why resignation, sir? I just made a mistake that cost the organization $1 million. You've been great to me. I don't want you to put you through this difficult experience of firing me, so I'm resigning." Thomas took the letter and tore it and said, "Fire you? Fire you? I've just invested $1 million in your education and I'm going to fire you?" Now, whether the story is exactly true or almost true, it's still a story that circulates around IBM, and a story that creates a certain reality in IBM, a reality that says you have to try. There's a similar story in Johnson & Johnson, one of the most successful companies in the world, where General Johnson, one of the two founders, with his other brother, also called Johnson, which is why it's called Johnson & Johnson. So Jim Burke was an up-and-coming employee in Johnson & Johnson, made a mistake that cost the organization a lot of money, was called in the morning by General Johnson, who was a very austere, very tough man, and Jim Burke comes in, all shivering and scared, and he comes in, walks into General Johnson's office, and General Johnson walks from around his table, goes to him and says, "Congratulations, Jim Burke, congratulations." "Sir, I just made a mistake, sir." "Yes, I know. This is the only way to learn. The more mistakes you make, the more successful we'll be. Congratulations." And Jim Burke was all happy and about to walk out. And then General Johnson said, "Oh, just one more thing, Jim. If you make the same mistake again, I'm going to fire you." But again, a story that goes around Johnson & Johnson about the importance of failure. Jim Burke, by the way, became the most successful CEO of Johnson & Johnson. Thomas Watson. I'm almost done. 1 minute. Almost done. If you want to increase your success rate, double your failure rate. We talked about this research. The origins of genius. The most successful artists, the most successful scientists in history are also the ones who have failed the most times, who have the most duds. It's the Edisons, it's the Da Vinci's, it's the Michelangelos, it's the Marie Curie. The most successful scientists and artists have also failed the most. And finally, Jane Clem, who did research on people's success in dieting or people's success in starting an exercise regime. What she found was that the most successful people who have been able to persist, are people who have failed on average 5 times before. So I've been on 5 diets that haven't succeeded. The 5th one or the 6th one, I'm successful and I'm able to sustain it. The same with an exercise regime. Learn to fail or fail to learn. See you on Thursday.